Welcome to the 6th edition of the Transformational Leaders Edge talk series. My name is Gordon Simango, a graduate in the Doctor of Transformational Leadership at Berkeley Graduate University with honors in the Organizational Transformation track. Today we are continuing on the topic of Goodwill Dissent, also termed as constructive workplace dissent in the management and leadership literature. At its core, according to how I define it, Goodwill Dissent is a commandment of love for your organization. It is that act of speaking up not to be difficult, but because you have a sincere faith in your organization that you refuse to watch it heading down to a failure. It is dissent rooted in loyalty, but also in your best interests of your organization. And to unpack the weight and the wisdom of this, again, my guest is Ambassador Salah Hammad. Just in case you missed the previous episode, Ambassador Salah Hammad is the head of the African Governance, Peace and Security Architecture's AGA-APSA Secretariat and is a senior human rights expert within the Department of Political Affairs, Peace and Security at the African Union Commission. Originally from Sudan, Ambassador studied political science and human rights law in the United States of America, and Ambassador Hammad was voted as Ambassador for Human Rights by the Arab Council of Human Rights in 2013 and has been appointed an ambassador within the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Sudan in 2016. For the past 28 years, he has dedicated his life to the world of development and human rights. As an international expert, he has worked on issues of governance, peace and security, human rights, humanitarian affairs, refugees, and resettlement. He also worked in the global development field for a number of international and continental organizations. Ambassador, in our previous episode, we discussed the why of Goodwill Dissent. Today we'll talk about the how with practical scenarios. You have managed, Ambassador, diverse teams for decades. How does Goodwill Dissent actually generate a better work system in your view, and that is in the long run?
Goodwill Dissent, my brother Dr. Gordon, it creates a self-correcting system. What I mean by that is in our organizations, companies, corporates, systems, management systems could be or can become outdated or stiff as times goes by. So therefore, the Goodwill Dissent plays the role of or become that force that is needed to innovate and also, I would say, bring in new blood into the system or to the structure of that organization. When an employee suggests a solution to any problem, they can in fact usually try to make the system more efficient by building their solutions and their ideas and thoughts on the Goodwill Dissent. By allowing that dissent, we could build a more resilient, more efficient, and also more mature organizational structure that can evolve with the time and become more mature. That is why I would say that the Goodwill Dissent actually generates a better work system.
A psychologist and data scientist by the name Andrew Naba, that's 2007, he reminds us that people spend a whopping 90,000 hours of their lifetime at work. This is an average worker. So if an employee feels that no one notices and listens, how does that impact the morale of staff in a secretariat such as yours, Ambassador?
It is devastating, in fact. Invisibility is the enemy of productivity, and lack of reward for the employees and members of the staff members It's quite devastating. So therefore, we really need to have a system in place that will make sure that the staff work is recognized and the staff members are rewarded for the time and the efforts that they are putting into the system to achieve the goals of the organization. Otherwise, the morale will go down, and of course, they will not be able to actively contribute to the work of the organization. They will stop, of course, being ready to come to work, as usually the case is when they are rewarded and recognized, and they will stop looking for challenges and just try to do the normal 8 to 5 work without really putting more efforts. So therefore, a leader's job is to ensure that those 90,000 hours researched by the researcher, by NABA, are an investment in a person's purpose, not just a trade for a paycheck. That should be the case. Otherwise, the morale of the staff will go down, and the staff will not be able to really contribute the same as they are rewarded and recognized.
Now let's move on and get practically and look at two case studies. And so the first case study is this. A regional nonprofit has just hired a senior police analyst named Sarah. And so Sarah is widely recognized for her deep processing strength. She's exceptionally at identifying long-term risks and spotting inconsistencies in complex data that others often miss. However, she's naturally reserved and rarely speaks up during fast-paced, high-energy weekly strategy meetings. Here is the conflict ambassador. The team lead, Benson, encourages open flow feedback, but the loudest voices often dominate the room. Because Sarah doesn't contribute in the moment, Benson assumes she is disengaged and has no feedback to offer. Consequently, the team recently moved forward with a project that had a significant legal flaw, one that Sarah had noticed days prior, but didn't feel comfortable interrupting the meeting at the heat of the moment. Here is the rub, Ambassador Salah. Benson, who is the supervisor, feels he is being inclusive by asking, does anyone have any thoughts? But gets frustrated when the room goes silent. Whilst on the other hand, Sarah feels her methodical nature is a weakness that is in this environment and fears that her critical feedback will be seen as being difficult or slowing down the team. And two questions here, Ambassador, that I would like you to help us reflect on. The first question is, how can Benson pivot from seeing Sarah's silence as disengagement to seeing it as a byproduct of her deep processing strength? And the second question is, practically, what specific feedback channels could be created for employees in an organization who thrive on reflection rather than instant verbal reaction?
I would say that a leader's job within an organization is to build a feedback platform, a feedback architecture that accommodates different strengths, ensuring that even the quietest person in the room can have the loudest impact on the quality of the final decision. Perhaps I would advise Benson to provide the meeting agenda and key documents at least 48 hours in advance, so Sarah can process the data before the live discussion. Alternatively, that could also be not everyone, of course, not everyone does their best thinking on a whiteboard in front of a group. Benson could have, could implement a shared document that the team can add second, I would say, thoughts to, at least for 24 hours after the meeting. Also, we could look into, or the team could also look into using shared digital boards for post-meeting emails to capture insights that might occur to someone hours after a live discussion has ended. You'd agree with me, Dr. Gordon, that teams also can use shared digital boards for post-meeting emails to capture insights that might occur to someone after the live discussion. I would say the specific invite, instead of a board, we should also try to have a conversation on how everybody can contribute his or her thoughts during the meeting, but also keep the conversation on even after the meeting. In this case, of course, I would also say that Benson could also use a direct prompt where Sarah can give her ideas, thoughts, and the same goes for other members of the team. This is because, of course, the strengths of all staff is not the same. Some staff, they are ready to give ideas immediately. And of course, some staff that they are unable to give ideas immediately because they need to think things out and try to give ideas afterwards. So the conversation should also be kept alive, should be on even after the meeting, and we need to have a platform that will ensure that all the staff are contributing at not the same speed, of course, but different speeds. And this is one of the elements of the Goodwill Dissent, that a platform is in existence to ensure that all the ideas are captured.
So let's move on to the next scenario. So in this scenario, we have Emmanuel, who is a brilliant technical lead who has been with the organization for 8 years. Emmanuel is a maximizer strength, and he's obsessed with efficiency and hates wasted effort. So lately, however, his delivery has become sharp and aggressive too. During a high-stakes planning session, a new junior manager proposed a new software to be integrated into the organization. And so Emmanuel interrupted loudly saying, "This is a waste of time. We tried this 3 years ago and it failed because the infrastructure could not handle it. Don't you realize? If you would actually look at the history instead of chasing new trends, we would not be sitting here today in another useless meeting," he says. And here is the conflict, Ambassador. The room went silent following Emmanuel's input. The new junior manager felt publicly humiliated, and the rest of the team shifted from a problem-solving mood to a defensive one. And here is the rub, Ambassador. The manager, Sarah, recognizes that Emmanuel is actually right about the technical hurdle, but his hostility is destroying the team's psychological safety. She is considering disciplining him just for his tone. On the other hand, Emmanuel feels he's being supportive, right? Because he's trying to save the company from a costly mistake. He views his bluntness as honesty and feels Sarah, the manager, is more worried about the feelings of a lot other employees and also her own feelings rather than being concerned by the results. Now, Ambassador, here are 3 reflection points that I would like you to help us with. Number 1, how can Sarah, who is the manager, address the hostility without dismissing the truth in Emmanuel's feedback? And number 2, what specific coaching questions can a manager use to help a hostile employee reframe their criticism? And the last question is that in a fallout like this, managers sometimes feel insecure themselves, right? And they feel even insecure in preparing for the next meeting, right? And sitting in that next meeting and managing it, right? So how does a manager repair the team's culture after a hostile outburst while still keeping the truth teller engaged and everyone engaged in the meeting?
Based on my understanding of the Goodwill Dissent, it's quite important that within the management structure of any organization, it's quite important to make sure in a case like this or scenario like this, that the goal isn't to silence the critics or the critiques, but it is to professionalize and to make sure that the protest is more professional and more respectful. When the leader helps to transform the environment and make sure that a frustrated employee move from hostile to supportive, they aren't asking them to be less honest in this case, but in fact, they are asking them to be more effective and to be, of course, more respectful. I will certainly, in this scenario, request Sarah to meet Emmanuel privately, to have a conversation with Emmanuel, and to ensure Emmanuel that he is absolutely right about the infrastructure issue, but the team couldn't hear him well because, of course, they were defending themselves against his tone. So therefore, Sarah will or should use the opportunity to assure Emmanuel that his expertise is needed and that his opinion will always be heard. This, of course, will validate the strength and the efficiency while correcting the behavior of the staff. Also, as you know, analyzing this scenario, I would say that it is quite important that we need to identify the gaps that propose or the gaps that preventing the solution of the problem simply because, of course, of criticism between the staff within the same organization. That comes, of course, through ensuring conversations, dialogue, and also try to listen to every voice and to have the opportunity to consult those who are voiceless during the meeting for a reason or another. And of course, this will shift the person from being a judge to becoming a partner to solve the problem that has been discussed. But also, I think it is quite important to mention that hostile feedback is often about being right, whereas supportive feedback is about being helpful. So therefore, the goal is to move the employee from personal ego to team and collaborative work, and also, of course, to identify others within the team that they can also chip in and share some ideas and thoughts that can advance the solution for the problem faced. That is what that would be my analysis and my response to the question, my analysis of the scenario and my response to the questions raised. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ambassador, again for those powerful insights. And thank you again. Join me in the next episode of the Transformational Leaders Edge podcast series. If you found value in today's conversation, please like, subscribe, and share. Also, let's keep the conversation going on in the comment section below. If you are interested in an organizational assessment and developing systems in relation to the issues we discuss here, feel free to write to findingexcellence@ehp@yahoo.com. I am Gordon Simango. Thank you.